So hey anime fans. The series name SI What If Naruto was son of Maleficent and Harem. So let's start the series. Deep within it stood a large great oak tree that grew over an old castle in ruins, vines and roots overtaking it after centuries pass. And within the ruins of that castle, deep within a stone wall chamber, stood a bed with a long black hair and horned woman lying on it sleeping. She has been slumbering for over several millennium, having willingly fallen into deep slumber after her adopted daughter's death. A death she couldn't prevent and was the sole person responsible for. But even deep within those ruins, the slumbering woman could hear what sounded like crying. The sounds of a child crying from sorrow and pain. Why is a young one crying? Was the thought running through her mind as she slowly opened her eyes after so long, sitting up and seeing the state the room after sleeping for so long. Her golden eyes looked around as her black wings unwrapped themselves from her body and slowly she sat up. Outside of the old oak, a small girl with golden locks that had crimson streaks running through it, laid on the root of the old oak crying. Why? Why do they hate me so much? She questioned herself as she curled up into a tiny ball under the rays of sunlight that trickled through the canopy of the giant trees of the fenced-off forest she hid in. But unknown to the child, a woman was standing in the shadows looking down at her. Aurora? She thought to herself as she looked down at the golden mop of hair that had crimson locks entwined within it. Little beastie, why do you cry? Questioned the woman. The girl froze at hearing a woman's voice and being called a beastie. She slowly looked up at the woman that stood before her, and saw she had long black hair that hung freely over her right shoulder, 2 horns coming out from her head and golden eyes. I am hiding, said the girl as tears kept streaming down her swollen red cheeks. Her right cheek appeared to be bruised and some dry blood was at her nose. The woman tilted her head to the right, and the girl saw she held a black staff in that hand. And why are you hiding, beastie? She questioned the girl. Nerda now tilted her head at this woman. Doesn't she know I'm the demon brat that everyone hates? She questioned herself as she didn't know how to feel about this or about this woman that stood before her. I don't know. The villagers hate me, and they get really bad on my birthday each year. This is the only place they will not follow me to. I have taken to hiding in this large forest that is fenced off from the village, she told the woman. Maleficent wasn't a fool. She could feel an evil dark power coming off the girl, but this power was not part of the girl. She was more like the vessel that held that dark power at bay. I see. Tell me, beastie, do you have a name? She questioned. My name is Uzumaki. It's the name given to me by my parents before they died. Well, that is what the old man tells me anyways, said the now named Nerdu as she looks down at her hands and back up at the raven hair woman. Maleficent studies the girl before her, but doesn't feel any lies coming from her. What the child says is true. Or so she believes it to be true. Tell me then, beastie, I mean Nerdu, where are we? She questioned as this world around her felt different. She didn't feel the same magic of the days of old. Instead, a new power was flowing through the plants and animals that surround her. Nerdu blinks and looks at the woman, confused but answers her still. We are in the village of Hyde Ninja Village, but where we are right now is the Forest of Death, also known as Training Ground 44. That is what the crazy snake lady tells me when she has to come and find me for Gigi, she told the woman before her. Maleficent nods her head to this. It appears this world has gone through many changes since I have fallen asleep. Also, it appears this isn't a world under Britannia rule any longer, she thought to herself when she felt a tug on her long black dress. She looks down at the little girl that reminded her of her long-lost adopted daughter. What is it, beastie? She asked. Nerda tilted her head to the side. What is your name? She questioned with pure innocence in her eyes. This softened Maleficent's eyes slightly, just looking down at the child before her. My name is Maleficent. I was once the fae that protected this land that you now call Hyde Ninja Village. She told the little girl. Nerda, for her part, just nodded her head, and then looked confused at the horned woman. What's a fae? She questioned. Maleficent blinked at the girl and looked at her as if she had grown animal ears and a tail. A fae is another name for a fairy, she told the child before her. Nerda's eyes grew huge. You're a fairy? That is so cool. Do you grant wishes and stuff? She asked a minute to Maleficent. Headmaster's Tower. The third headmaster sat at his office desk, glaring at the stack of paper that sat across from him, and let out a defeated sigh. I must get this over and done with if I want to have dinner with Nerda tonight, he told himself as he looked out the window of his office to the village that he pledged to protect against all her greatest enemies. But then, a Nico masked Anbu appeared before the leader of her village. Headmaster Dano, we are unable to find Nerda. But Inu has called forth his summons and have picked up her scent, as well as a small trail of blood heading towards the training grounds, said Nico as she kept calm but was worried for the little girl that her and her team have looked after since she was about a year old. The headmaster, for his part, looked up from the form that he was looking at to the purple-haired Nico-masked woman. "Let me know when Inu finds her and bring her to me," he ordered as he put the sheet of paper back down on his desk and stood up to walk over to the window overlooking the village. Looking down at the villagers, all drunk and celebrating like fools below him. "If only I was a younger man, I could do much more for you, my dear. But sadly, I am just a foolish old man that has placed too much trust in the wrong people," he thought darkly to himself as he let out a sigh and pulled out his pipe. With a snap of his fingers it was light, and he was taking in a deep breath of the rich, intoxicating tobacco that filled his pipe, and the smoke now filled his lungs. Training grounds. Inu ran after a pack of hounds, all with different colored vests and fur to show each different breed of dog. A small pug led the pack as they all sniffed the ground, looking around for the child they all adored, as she always liked playing with them when Inu would babysit her when she was smaller. To them, she was one of their pups. "Pup, her scent is coming strongly from that forest," said the pug. This froze the Inu masked Anbu. He looked up ahead and saw the massive forest, where he could hear the sounds of the many wild and dangerous animal coming from there, and rushed towards it along with his dogs. Forest of Death. Maleficent looked up from Naruto as she could hear dogs barking from outside of the forest. "It appears a pack of wild dogs are coming this way," she thought to herself. Naruto looks up to when she heard the doggies that she would play with coming. "Inu's doggies are coming," she said excitedly while looking behind Maleficent, where a man with silver hair that defied gravity and a pack of wild dog appeared. "Naruto, there you are you alright?" asked a worried Inu, since he could see the little girl is a little banged up, and there was an unknown woman standing before her, talking to her, and he wasn't sure if should be worried or not. Naruto tilts her head to the right while looking at Inu, a little confused at this point. "I'm alright. This nice lady was checking up on me and talking to me," she said while pointing to Maleficent, who turned to look at the dog-masked man. He took a step back at seeing her large horns that he didn't notice when he had arrived. A smirk crept across her lips at the sight of him becoming frightened of her. This could work, she thought to herself while looking at him. "I will be taking over caring for this little beastie from now on. It appears no one around here cares about her enough to do so," said Maleficent with a wicked grin as she scoops up Naruto into her arms. "Miss, you cannot do that, and don't call her beastie," growled out Inu. He wasn't cowering before the woman now. Pakin and the others began growling at the woman too. "Give us back out, little pup," he growled out as the other dogs agreed. She arched a brow at the talking dog before her. "Why do animals begin to speak freely?" she questioned as she studied the little pug before her, and the other dogs alongside him. Pakin and the other dog summons are taken back by this. "What is that crazy horned woman talking about?" "What? Hold up, does this woman have horns?" they all go together. "She is part of the pack. She is part of our own pup's pack," growled out a tan greyhound with a navy blue vest and sunglasses. Maleficent arched another brow at this talking dog. "Well, she is now part of my pack," she told the dog very calmly, sounding like a noble woman. The greyhound took a step back away from the woman, letting out a whimper. "What do you mean, part of your pack?" questioned Inu as he arched a brow from under his mask. He wanted to remove his mask and have a better look at her with his gifted eye. That's when Maleficent could felt a strange kind of magic trying to form around her, trying to blind her from seeing her new little beastie, but she wasn't going to have any of that. With one powerful stomp of her staff, a shock wave of green energy pushed out from it, breaking the Gen spirit art that Inu was trying to place her under, and pushed him away from her. The blast was enough to slam his body against a tree that stood behind him. Naruto jumped up to her feet and ran over to the down Inu and looked him over. "Inu-chan, are you going to be okay?" she asked him with tears at the corners of her eyes. Inu's mask fell off and a young man with half his face covered with a face mask laid on the ground, with a crack running down the center of the mask from the force of her magic. "Why did you hurt him?" yelled Naruto as she turned to look at Maleficent with tears rolling down her puffy cheeks. Crimson core energy began to seep out of her body as the wild dark aura of a nine-tailed fox appeared out of the aura surround the little girl. Headmaster Tower. The third headmaster felt the blast of a strange core energy he had never felt before in his life. It felt different from anything he had ever felt, and he had fought against several tail beast hosts during the past several shinobi wars. It felt like nature itself with a hint of darkness within it. His head snapped over to Nico. "Get your team, we are heading out," he ordered in a calm voice. As those words left his lips, another dark core energy followed in its wake, and it was the one that he knew all too well from only 8 years ago, the night many souls had been lost. Without blinking an eye as two people walk into his office, the headmaster vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the two fools that wanted to complain about something that he had no time to deal with. He needed to get to his granddaughter and quickly. Within Forest of Death. As the fox-shaped aura danced wildly around the little girl, Maleficent watched on, both intrigued and worried. Beastie has an interesting surprise held within her. One that I will have to deal with before it overtakes her, she thought as the hilt of her staff touched Nerda's forehead, knocking the girl out into Inu's arms. He then looks up at the woman before looking down at the child again and see that a strange mark formed on the little girl's forehead. The wind picks up as several katanas and kunai blades are held at Maleficent's neck. An elderly man in white and crimson robes appear before her, with a large hat resting on his head with a strange symbol she had only seen a few times from the Chinese and Japanese sailors when they would visit so often the ports near the kingdom. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded a powerful and calm voice that came from the elderly man that stood before her. His old gray eyes looked at the woman from from horn to toe. She was an unknown that was interacting with her granddaughter, and he wasn't going to have any of it. "I awoke to a child crying over my resting place," said Maleficent as her eyes traveled to the now sleeping girl. The rune she had placed on the girl's forehead glowed a soft crimson as the dark aura was trying to fight it. "What do you mean your resting place?" questioned the third headmaster as he looked over at the horned woman with confusion on his face. His eyes slowly follow her own as he now notices the strange seal on the little girl's forehead. "What have you done to her?" He growled out this question, wanting to know now, for his fear was spiking and he didn't know what had happened. He had never seen anything like the seal he had seen on the little girl before in his life. Wait, he had. But it was in an old book, one that belonged to the Uzumaki clan. "Like I told you before, she had found my resting place. The place I was left to sleep, as many had believed I died the day my own child was murdered by the hands of the man she believed she loved," said Maleficent in an icy tone that froze everything around her. They could feel her pain, sorrow and pure hatred for the one that had taken so much from her. Behind her was a large doorway that wasn't seen before on the mighty old oak tree. It blended in so seamlessly one wouldn't even notice it if they were not looking for the doorway. She caught the question in the old man's eyes and let out an annoyed sigh. "What is this land called?" she questioned him. Slowly, third headmaster's eyes moved back to meet her own powerful emerald green eyes. "We are in the land of fire, and the village that this forest is held in is known as Hyde Ninja Village Geikir no Sato," he told her. She nodded her head. "It appears I have been asleep longer than I have thought, for this land was once known as Britannia. A land once ruled by a foolish king who stole so much from me, and I took what he held most dear. But in the end what he held dear became dear to myself as well, and in the end, I gave everything I had to keep her safe," she said while looking up to the sky, blinking away tears that wished to break free. "I see," was all third headmaster could say as he was finally figuring out what she was talking about. "What do you want with Nerdu?" he asked once more. "I will raise Beastie as my own child. She reminds me of my very own little Beastie at her age," said Maleficent with a soft smile while looking at the little girl that was now sleeping in Inu's arms, and the crimson aura began fading away as a soft, golden light overtook the rune symbol on her forehead, allowing her to know that her very own power had overtaken the other that was within the little girl. "Why was Beastie injured?" she questioned while looking back over at the elderly leader. This is where the third headmaster appeared to age 100 years before her eyes, and she arched a brow while watching him, and then looked back at the silver-haired boy with the annoying crimson eye that was trying to weave some type of magic over her. Even he looked to have aged as well as he handed over Nerdu to the hounds that now surrounds and protects the little girl while she still slept, on a small bed of grass surrounded by flowers. "She was born on a night when a demon attacked our very village and killed many shinobi and villagers alike that night. The attack happened well after midnight and all were sleeping or returning from missions or leaving for missions. The fourth headmaster, the leader before and after myself, gave his life along with his wife to seal away the demon within the child you see right there. He wished for her to be seen as the savior of our village, but the fools of this village disrespected their final wishes and blamed the child for the night of Kyubi no Yoko attack. For the only thing she had done that night was be born," said the third headmaster looking away. Inu looked down at the little girl as tears rolled down his cheeks, as he caught on long ago that Nerda was their daughter. The little girl that supposedly died the night of the attack next to her family. "Then it is settled. I will care for Beastie within this forest. I will train her in both the dark and light arts of magic that are only known to my kind, as well as keep that beast within her at bay. I do not want her relying on that thing," said Maleficent as if this matter at hand had been settled. "It isn't as easy as you believe, miss," said the third headmaster, leaving it hanging, cause no one had gotten her name from when they all began talking. "I am Maleficent, former queen and guardian of the Moors. A dark fae, and once upon a time, fairy godmother to my daughter Aurora," said Maleficent, amused at the looks of shock on their faces for the titles she once held. Third headmaster took a moment to settle himself down before speaking. "I am Hiruzen, third headmaster. The third headmaster of Hyde Ninja Village," he told her. She nodded her head to him. But you must know one thing, Naruto wishes to become a kunoichi of this village to protect those who are dear to her, and one day take the title of headmaster for herself. Like all those who came before me and after myself," he said as he took out his pipe to have a calming smoke. "That won't be a problem. I was once a warrior myself and she would benefit from learning from me, for whatever magic that boy there used on me wasn't as effective as it would have been against you little monkeys," said Maleficent as she still didn't like the lone crimson eye that Inu has. "We will have to wait until Naruto is awake to ask her if she would like to go with you, then and only then will I allow it," said Third Headmaster as he still felt a little uneasy. Within Naruto's mindscape, Crimson Eyes slowly opened as it could feel ancient powers long forgotten in this new world of shinobi. Powers that belong in a world long past, a world that these meatbags knew nothing about. Slowly, the Crimson Eyes closed as runes slowly began forming over the seal on its cage doors. It would never been allowing its freedom for now, but a day would come, and it would once more be free. Naruto slowly awoke from her slumber, surrounded by the dogs and the others. Slowly opening her eyes, she saw her Gigi speaking with the nice lady that had found her. "Gigi!" she called out as the dogs moved aside to allow the old man to come near that little girl. "Ah, my dear, you're awake. How are you feeling?" asked Third Headmaster with a grandfatherly smile on his face. She tilts her head to the side and smiles. "I'm alright. My head hurts a little though, but I guess I just have a headache or something," said Naruto as she looks over at Maleficent. She was busy at the moment, using her magic to fix her home for it to be suitable for her beastie and herself. The cracked and broken stones on the doorway of the old oak tree became whole once more as the tree grew even larger, and windows began appearing on it. The others just watched on with shock. This woman, this Fae, had the same powers of the first headmaster over plants. Maleficent then looks over at Naruto. "Beastie, this will be your new home from now on as you will be living with me," she told the little girl that looked up at her. "Okay, but I would like to get my stuff from my old apartment first," said Naruto. Maleficent looked at the old man and the others with an unasked question. "Yes, Naruto has been living on her own since she was 4 years old," said Third Headmaster as he looked away with shame in his eyes. "Well, that ends today," growled out Maleficent as green flames could be seen licking at her lips as her dragon from wanted to break free, but she calmed herself. Not even when she was younger had she seen anything like this. "I can't wait to show you my apartment, Maleficent-chan," said Naruto with a large smile on her face. "Let's go then, Beastie, and let us see this apartment you speak of," said Maleficent as the others followed behind the woman as she picked up the little girl and carried her out of the forest that is now their home. Inu took the lead to show the woman where Naruto lived at. "This way, Maleficent-sama," said Inu as he was a little scared of her, but he knew he needed to be strong and not show any fear, for the little girl trusted the woman as well, and she seemed to have forgotten what happened before she was forced to fall asleep. As they left the training grounds, music and cheers could be heard not too far from them all. Hearing this, Naruto slowly began making herself smaller in Maleficent's arms. She looks down at the little girl, seeing her shaking in fear in her arms. The Third Headmaster just watched them and saw the woman watching the little girl in her arms. He knew this wouldn't end well. "What's wrong, Beastie?" asked Maleficent as she looked down at the little girl in her arms. Naruto looks up at the woman. "The people are getting drunk and will begin their fox hunt soon and will be looking for me," she said in a whisper. Maleficent's eyes flashed emerald green while looking at the headmaster at what her new daughter had just told her. He could feel her rage at him and didn't say a word. "Come on! It is almost dark. The demon should be heading home soon," yelled a man from a few streets away from them. Inu grew tense at hearing some fool shouting about hurting his little sister. His hand slowly moved to his kunai pouch, ready to draw a weapon if need be. "Come, let's find the beast," yelled another man. Wings then appeared behind Maleficent's back, followed by green and black flames dancing around her feet. She was growing enraged the closer they got to the red light district. She could see prostitutes standing on the corner, as well as hearing moaning coming from an alleyway they had just passed. "We're almost to my place," said Naruto as she smiled at the woman that held her in the arms. Maleficent smiles back at the little girl, trying to hide the anger she was feeling from where the little girl has been living for the past 4 years of her short little life. "Is that right, sweetie?" she said behind a fake smile about where they are heading. "She has done well living here for the past few years," said Nico as she looked over at them. "Yeah. Nico-chan has been teaching me how to cook and sew my own clothing. She has bought me some pretty fabric for a dress we are both making," said Naruto with excitement in her voice. "Really?" asked Maleficent with a soft smile on her face. "Well, she knows how to sew. That is a good thing, but I will teach her more," she thought to herself with a smile. "Yes, Naruto asked me to help her make a pretty princess dress for her," said Nico with a soft smile under her mask. It was a dress they planned to finish tonight so she could wear to dinner with the headmaster. Villagers. Villagers slowly made their way around the village, cutting off anywhere the little girl could run and hide. Some have gone home to find weapons and other items to use against the demon they believe the little girl to be. More sake has been drunk to numb their feelings and their morals about what they are about to be doing to a small child, a small innocent child that deserved none of this, but they all could care less. In their eyes it was justice, for all the loved ones they've lost 6 years ago, and they will have their justice. With Naruto. They had made it to an old rundown apartment building with broken windows and rans running across the stairway that led up the open outdoor hallways that lead to the other empty apartments that are open and broken with sprayed paint all over the walls. Maleficent glared at the old man for making her live in this dump. Third headmaster, for his part, pulled his hat down, covering his face from the wrath he was sure to be facing soon from the woman that stood before him. Naruto jumped out of Maleficent's arms and ran up the stairs, stepping on a few rat tails as she ran up the steps. She ran all the way to the top floor, where she saw the door to her apartment wide open. Slowly, she walked over to the open door and peeked in. What she saw made her cry. The dress she had been working so hard on was on the floor in pieces. Tears began welling up in her eyes. "What's wrong, sweetie?" asked Nico as she walked up behind the little girl. "My dress!" cried Naruto as Nico now saw the dress in pieces. "It's okay, sweetie. We can always make a new one," said Nico while placing her hand on her head. Maleficent walks up behind them seeing this. The place was trashed. "Get what you need from here fast, beastie. We're not staying here long," said Maleficent as she glared at Third Headmaster once more. Naruto nods her head and runs into the apartment, and finds a bag to put whatever that was still usable into it. "Why haven't you done more for Beastie?" questioned Maleficent as she looks at him. He let out a sigh. "My hands are tied. She is the host of a great demon and my elders and civilian council will not allow me to do much for her," he said, looking away. "So you are allowing fools to tell you what to do? Who's truly the one that runs this village?" questioned Maleficent as she looks at him long and hard. "You are right, but this old man has lost much of his backbone when the fourth passed away on her birthday," said Third Headmaster as he had a sad smile on his face while looking at the little girl throwing things around, trying to find the money she hid under the floorboards. With Naruto taking whatever little money she had, they left the apartment with Inu carrying her bags for her. "Will you be needing anything from the village to Naruto?" questioned Third Headmaster as he's still worried. Maleficent looks at him. "Maybe some flour and other items for baking. Nothing that needs to be kept in the cold," she told him. He nodded and with a wave of his hand, Nico vanished to get the supplies that would be needed. Maleficent had her work cut out for her. She hasn't cooked or baked in a long time, so she would need to teach Beastie quickly. As they continued walking, a group of villagers saw Naruto as she was walking behind Maleficent, playing with the feathers on her wings and just chatted away about her favorite foods and so on. The fools failed to see the horns on Maleficent's head or her wings. They believed the woman to be a noble that was visiting the headmaster and taking a tour of the village. "All we have to do is sneak up behind that woman and take the girl. No one is watching her, just listening to the noble woman talk about something, and that demon is getting her fancy dress dirty with her dirty paws," growled out a man with pink hair and an eye patch over his left eye. Several civilians and Genin-level ninjas did their best to sneak up on Maleficent, but despite their efforts she can feel out energy coming her way, as well as the hate within those fools' hearts. Slowly, her wings move and wrap around Naruto, pushing the little girl closer to her. "Wow, that was so cool," said Naruto as Maleficent glances over her shoulder to see 5 teenage boys run away like the dirty dogs they are. "Why didn't you grab the girl?" demanded the man that had sent them to grab her. "The lady's dress moved and wrapped around the brat. There was nothing we could do," said a boy with brown hair up in a ponytail. "Stupid, useless brat," growls out the man as he looks at a silver-haired B-rank ninja. "Go get the girl," he hisses out at the man. "Are you mad? Headmaster Sama is standing right before her," said the coward of a B-rank ninja. Maleficent smirks as she could feel that they are fighting with each other. "Just come a little closer. Become a little bolder, and I'll make you all into the rats you truly are," she thought to herself as Naruto went back to playing with her wings. They walked a little more while the crowds are growing thicker, and the party is now spilling into the main part of the village. The fools following them knew this was the only chance they will be getting and moved quickly to grab the girl. The silver-haired B-rank ninja slipped off. His sensei had a job for him, and he needed to play the fool for now. He couldn't screw this up or his sensei is going to give it to him bad. But the fools that didn't have a single brain cell between them as they think they are stalking the little girl and the others like skilled shinobi or something, didn't realize that there's far more dangers ahead than just displeasing their sensei if they fail. The pink-haired man moved up quickly when Maleficent was looking at something in one of the festive stall, a cute little dress for Naruto. He saw this as his chance and quickly runs up and places a hand over her mouth and an arm around her small body, pulling her back. But the fool never noticed that Naruto had her fingers wrapped around Maleficent's feathers and dress and pulls hard as she is being dragged away. This got Maleficent to turn around and look as she saw this man with a disgusting, twisted smirk on his face as her eyes began to glow an emerald green. "What do you think you are doing to her?" she hisses out. This freezes the man and the others that watched not that far away from the group in their place. Then the third headmaster turned around to see what is happening and saw Naruto fighting to get free from the man's arms. The frightened expression on her face froze the old man for just a second, but before he could speak, Maleficent walks up to the man and backhands him as his grip loosens on the little girl. Inu quickly swoops in and grabs her, pulling her away as green flames dance around and moves up across her body. Seconds later, a demonic roar came from the flames as a large dragon appears in place of the fairy and roars into the man's face. The other fool's eyes grew wide from fear while watching the creature that stood before them all. The large green and black dragon roared in their faces as her wings speared out wide, and she used them to push herself off the ground. A woman within the crowd began screaming as she fell to the ground, fainted. This broke the others from their frozen fear. "She is a demon!" screamed another woman, freaking out. "You will not put your filthy hands on my child!" roared Maleficent as her flames licked at her lips. The pink-haired man stepped forth. "You are the demon that is bewitching the headmaster. You must die!" he yells. Maleficent's eyes glow yellow as she tilts her head back, roaring and shaking the village at its foundation. A spew of flames rolled in her mouth, and she spat it out as green and black flames filled the heavens. Villagers and other festival-goers could be heard screaming and running around the village as the roar of the dragon frightened them. "Do I look like a giant fox?" she roars out at the pink-haired man. "You are the same beast and demon that attacked us 8 years ago," he yelled. Maleficent laughed at this foolish monkey that stood before her. A dark grin crept across her large mouth as a massive staff appeared in her clawed hands. "You are like a little monkey that has lost his banana. For your transgressions, you will become what you behave as," she roared as she stomped her massive staff onto the ground. The pink-haired man and the other fools that still stood with him were engulfed by a green cloud of smoke, and their screams soon changed to that of cries from wild animals. As the green smoke cleared away, there before them all stood animals in place of humans. One that stood out the most was a single-eyed pink fur monkey. The monkey jumping up and down, screeching and balling its tiny paws into fists. Alongside it are a bunch of rabbits, cats, dogs, other monkeys, and even a snake. "What has happened to them?" questioned Third Headmaster, dumbfounded, for he has never seen anything like this in his life. A large cloud of green smoke surrounded the massive dragon that stood before them, and as it cleared, Maleficent stood before them once more. She smirked while looking at the fools she had turned into her servants. "From this day forth, you lot will answer to me. For each and every one of you are under my curse and my spell," said Maleficent. "You can't do that. They are villagers of this mighty village," said Third Headmaster with panic and fear in his voice. She looks at him with her flaming emerald green eyes that flashed golden for just a second. "You have allowed these fools too much freedom and allowed them to hurt my child one too many times. This is true punishment from myself, from the Queen of the Dark Fae and new mother of one Naruto Uzumaki," she told him as the others just watched on with shock. The animals all stood before the horned woman and bowed as her magic had finally overtook them and made them into her servants. She smiled looking at them all. "This will make all others think twice before attacking my child," she said in afterthought as Inu returned with Naruto. Third Headmaster stood there with his mouth hanging open as he watched the animals turn villagers bowed to the woman. He couldn't even form words at what the hell just happened. Maleficent looks at Naruto and then to the animals. "Beastie, these little creatures are now your servants," she tells the little girl as she looks at the animals, glaring at them as her eyes glow green and the animals turn and bow to the little girl in Inu's arms. "Oh wow. They are all so cute," said Naruto as she jumps out of Inu's arms and runs over to the monkey and scoops him up into her arms, hugging its thigh. Maleficent smirks as she watches her little beastie. "I am glad you like them," she said as she turns to look at Third Headmaster, as he is standing next to a building and begins banging his head on the wall of that building. "Oh, calm yourself. They can take a human form once more. But it will be one that I allow them to have and have earned," she told him as she walks up to Naruto and picks the little girl up. "Now, beastie, let's go home," she told her. It has been 2 months since Naruto had come to live with Maleficent, and a lot had happened since then. During that time, the crow that had once served under Maleficent had appeared before her one early morning. It was the morning of December 26th, and it was a big day for the village, First, because of the peace talks between Hyde Ninja Village and Kumo were underway, and the two shinobi that had been hand-selected by the third Raikage have just arrived in the village, just as she was walking with her daughter to the park. Young Naruto wished to go and play with the other children and had made a friend there the other day, so she hoped that little Hina would be there today to play too. Which brings us to the second biggest thing going on in the village today, the Hyuga clan heiress' 8th birthday, which sadly was also the day that her eldest cousin would be marked with the family curse seal, forcing the young boy into becoming a slave to his young cousin and clan heiress. Hina had asked her mother if they could go to the park for a while before all the clan business got underway. With a gentle smile, Yellow Flash nodded her head and took her daughter to the park to play with the only child who seemed not frightened by her eyes. Another reason to go is that she enjoys her chat with the little girl's adoptive mother, even though the woman was quite strange. "Hina-chan! You made it!" yelled Naruto as she ran while waving her little arms wildly in the air at her best friend. Yellow Flash brought up her left hand covered in her long lavender sleeves and giggled at the little girl's antics. Hello, Naruto-kun," stuttered Hina as she bowed to her best friend in greeting. Maleficent comes walking up over the hill to see the little girl's mother, that appeared to be heavy with child and ready to pop any second now. "Good morning, Yellow Flash," said Maleficent with a nod of her head to the woman before her. "Good morning, Maleficent-sama," said Yellow Flash with a small smile. "How are you this lovely morning?" she questions. "I am well. Just out enjoy this fine crisp December morning with my little beastie," said Maleficent with a smirk as she looks over at her daughter making flower crowns with the other little girl. Maleficent pet her pet crow as she glanced back over at Yellow Flash. "It appears you will be having your second child any day now," she tells the clan mother. "Yes. Hina-chan can't wait to be a big sister," said Yellow Flash as she softly smiles while rubbing her swollen belly. Naruto and Hina giggled and talk while making their crowns until a little girl with long blonde hair and a high ponytail wanders over to them as she is being shadowed by a little girl with long pink hair being held back with a red ribbon. "What are you two up to?" asked the little blonde. "We are just making flower crowns," replies Naruto, not looking up from the daisies she is wrapping around several red roses she had found in the Forest of Death before coming to the park to play with her best friend. "Do you mind if we join you?" asked the blonde-haired girl. Hina looks up and softly smiles. Sure," she tells the two girls. "Ino, I don't know if we should play with them," said the little girl with pink hair to the now named Ino. Ino's pale teal eyes look over at the jade-green eyes that hold fear and anxiety within them. "Why not?" she questions while putting her balled-up fist on her cocked left hip while looking at the pinkette with narrowed eyes. "It's because the villagers don't like me, and I think her mother or father is on the civilian council and have drilled into her head to keep away from me," said Naruto, looking up for just a second to grab several more daisies. Ino looks over at Naruto and back over to the pinkette. "Well, Daddy and Mommy told me it is fine to play with her. She has never done anything wrong. Also, my daddy is on the Shinobi Council and knows more than what the civilians do," she told the pinkette with a grin. "So we are going to play with her." The pinkette sits down, not close enough to get into trouble from her mommy, but still close to her friend. "I'm Ino Yamanaka and this is Sakura Haruno," said Ino as she smiles at the two girls. "I am Hina Hyuga," says Hina while bowing to the Yamanaka heiress. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and future headmaster of this village," said Naruto with a cheesy grin on her face. "It's nice to meet you both," she adds as her mother's crow lands on her head and pecks her. "I know, Diaval. I did tell them it was nice to meet them," she whined before batting him away from her head. Ino arched a brow to the strange bird. "Naruto, whose bird does that belong to?" she questioned the little blonde. Naruto looks over at Ino. "He belongs to my mommy Maleficent," she tells the girls as Hina just giggles behind her powder purple sleeve. "You mean that devil woman with horns is your mommy?" questioned Sakura with wide eyes as she heard her mommy talk about Maleficent, and had seen her mommy point the woman out to her friends while Sakura was just standing right next to her, hiding behind her leg in the marketplace. Naruto puffs out her cheeks. "My mommy isn't a devil. She is a fae," she tells the girls as Ino and Sakura look at her confused. "What's a fae?" questioned Ino as she had never heard that word before. Naruto grins. "Fae is another word for fairy. She was once the queen of fairies, but she became a dark fairy when a bad king cut off her wings long ago, and then a fairy godmother to the daughter of said bad king. So now, one could say she is my fairy godmother," she told the girls as their eyes widen at hearing the woman that Sakura's mommy calls a devil is really a fairy godmother. A man and woman with forehead protectors with the same pale eyes as Hina and her mother came walking over with a little girl, about 4 years younger than Hina, swinging in their arms. "Mommy!" yelled the little girl as she jumped out of the two people's hands and raced over to her mother. Maleficent studied the two newcomers and child, and could feel a strange energy coming from their foreheads. So, she swirled her hand over the green circle crystal on her staff to see what the strange energy was on the two people. As she gazed into the staff crystal ball, she saw what was happening. She saw how their clan branded their lesser clansmen as slaves and those two before her are slaves. But her crystal also shows her that the same fate will befall Hina and maybe the other child. But it appears the younger daughter is favored by the elders of the clan as the parents, well more the mother, loves her children dearly, and the father, he is just a freaking puppet for their clan elders. Maleficent didn't enjoy what she had seen and scowled heavily. Yellow Flash watched the swirling in the strange little ball, but wasn't able to see what was making the woman across her scowl. "What's wrong, Maleficent-chan?" asked Yellow Flash with a tilted head to the side. Maleficent looks over to the woman still with a frown. "Your clan will be your child's downfall," was all she said as she saw a man with long brown hair and pale eye marching over to them with a frown on his face. He scowled over at Hina as the silent eldest child giggled with other children, just proving to himself and the other elders of his clan that she is just useless. Yellow Flash looks up and smiles at seeing her husband walking over to them. "Oh, Hisashi-kun. What are you doing here?" she questions her husband as she slowly raises to her feet. Hisashi closes his eyes. "It is time to come home. The elders wish to begin Hina's birthday and Niji's sealing," he tells his wife. Just hearing this, Yellow Flash's smile fades away and she frowns at hearing this. "Dear, I thought you said you wouldn't be doing that to Niji-kun," she protests. Maleficent cocked a brow to this. Really? They are cursed by their narrow mind and foolish pride. She thinks to herself. "Yellow Flash-chan, it is final. It will be happening after Hina's birthday," said Hisashi with another frown. Yellow Flash looks over at Maleficent. "I am sorry, Maleficent-sama. We will have to meet up another day," she tells the Fey woman. Maleficent waves her off. "Do not worry about it, Yellow Flash. Just have a safe night," she tells the woman with a smile on her face. Hisashi walks over to Hina and grabs her hand as she is covering her face, giggling at Ino and Nerdu. Hina eeps and jumps slightly as her father yanks on her arm and pulls her up to her feet. "We are leaving," he tells his daughter, just dragging her along as his other daughter runs behind them. Green and black flames could be seen licking at her feet. This enraged her how his man is treating his daughter before her. This was uncalled for. Hisashi never saw this as he was too busy with his head so far up his ass. Nerdu looks over at her mother with tears welling up in her eyes as she did not understand why her best friend's father was so mean and pulled her that way. What frightened her was the fact that she heard Hina's arm pop out of its socket. That what was making her want to cry this very second. Diavel flies up into the air and shifts into a man with raven hair and green eyes and kneels down before his little mistress. "Please do not cry, little kit. I will watch over your friend tonight, and make sure nothing bad happens to her. If I see something wrong, I will swoop in and spirit her away," he tells her with a large smile on his face. Nerdu smiles and jumps into his arms as Maleficent walks up behind him. "You better keep your word to her. Her trust is golden and pure," she tells her feathered servant. "My lady, I will always keep my word to my little kit," said Diavel as he bows to his mistress. "Good," said Maleficent as she nods her head and turns away from them. "I will be leaving to the headmaster tower soon. I have a meeting with the old monkey, and I do expect you to keep an eye on my little beastie," she tells him and walks back over where she had been sitting with Yellow Flash. "What I saw in my crystal. Yellow Flash will not be long for this world, and I am unsure if her son will live or die tonight alongside his mother," she thought grimly to herself as she watches her little beastie play with the other two beastly. She will need to keep an eye on the pink-hair one the most, for her mother is an accursed banshee that has somehow made it from the old world and should know who her true master is. She then sighed as she just enjoyed the peaceful park, since the other parents feared her and did not want to allow their children around her little beastie. Evening Headmaster's Tower. Maleficent slowly walks through the village, watching the villagers making their way home from the party they had earlier for the Kumo shinobi earlier that day. Those fools honestly believe there will be peace between these two villages. She just scuffs as she saw one of the Kumo shinobi walking down the street. He appeared to be looking for a restaurant as he had a map of all the local shops in the village. But she narrows her emerald green eyes at him as he gave her a bad vibe. The two B-rank ninja standing at the entrance of the headmaster tower open the double doors for the tower. "Good evening, madam," they tell her. Maleficent walks up the long staircase to the old man's office. Without knocking, the door opens, and the three elders came storming out, glaring at the Fae that stands before them. Danzo narrow his single eye at her. "What do you want, monkey?" questioned Maleficent as she glares at the bandage-wrapped man. "You shouldn't have the Jinchuriki," he growls out at the horned woman. With a smirk, Maleficent's eyes flash a sickly green. "She isn't a weapon. She is just a child forced into something that was out of her control. But now do not worry about her now, she tells him. You should just hand her back to me, growled Danzo. No. You will not have my daughter, said Maleficent, ready to kill the man right then and there. The third headmaster comes walking to the door. Danzo, if I were you, I would stop here before she ends you here and now, he tells his old teammate. Danzo looks over at the foolish old man. What do you know? You are the fool that handed over our greatest weapon to this creature, he hisses out at the man. Third headmaster lets out a tired sigh. This had been the same fight he had been having with the old war hawk for the past several months, since Maleficent had awoke from her slumber and had taken the girl home with her into the forest of death. With a smirk, an idea came to mind. Under Uzumaki clan law, I must hand over the clan heiress to the last living member of the clan to be raised in the clan ways. As Naruto is the last Uzumaki living that we know of, and Maleficent-sama is also an Uzumaki, Naruto has every right to be with her family. He explains to Danzo and the two other elders in hopes this would work and save him from a headache for a few days. If she is an Uzumaki, then she should be placed in the CRA, demand the only female elder. No, I will not be used as a bread mare, said Maleficent as she pushes past them and walks into the office. She was done with them and their demands. Before the three fools could say anything else, Maleficent pulls the headmaster in and slams the door in their faces. What needs to be talked about did not matter to them. Third headmaster chuckles at her. I see you still haven't come eye to eye with them just yet, he tells her. She looks over her shoulder. That would be a very cold day in hell when it happens, she tells him with a smirk on her face as she walks over to the chairs. So what is this about the Uzumaki clan and myself? Questioned Maleficent with a raised eyebrow. Third headmaster walked over to a wall that began glowing before him. The runes you use. It matches the ancient symbols the Uzumaki clan use in their seals. I am sure you have seen the seal on the Hyuga clan branch family. It was stolen by one of the elders once the village fell. But with Naruto being the last of her clan, I figure you would be the best to teach her in her clan mystical arts, he tells her as he picks up several large seals and walks back over to her. Hyuga clan estate. Hina was in her room bawling, her eyes out as she was forced to watch her older cousin being sealed before her eyes. The pain he was forced to go through. Why? She questioned between her tears. In the shadows of the Hyuga compound, a man stalked the shadows and quickly sidestepped out of sight of the all-seeing eyes of the branch family's slave guards. But behind the man, a main member of the family chuckled as he could not believe the money that he received for sealing the eldest daughter of the clan head. The man figured his granddaughter was useless, and that his useless daughter-in-law was going to give him a grandson soon. So Hina would be replaced no matter what, as his eldest son was useless and worthless as well. He should have branded him and taken his second-born into the main family, for that fool did something right and gave him a grandson. Yellow Flash walked slowly to the kitchen to make herself and Hina a cup of tea to place both of them at ease. A nice lavender mint tea would do some wonders for their nerves with the hell they had been placed through. She was just grateful her youngest did not have to see the branding of her cousin. Once the tea's done, Yellow Flash set it all on a tray and slowly walks out of the kitchen, with her large swollen belly giving her a little trouble of holding the tray. She makes her way down the dark hallway that was normally light with candles to her eldest child's room. This is strange. Did Ko forget to light the candles again? She thought to herself as she slowly made her way to her daughter's bedroom, where she found the door open slightly, and could hear something. Come here, you little brat. I paid good money for you, growled the man as he grabbed Hina by the hair and threw her into the burlap sack he had laying on her bed. Muffled cries could be heard coming from the bedroom as the man slid open the bedroom window as it led to his freedom. What are you doing? Came a female voice from behind the man. He glances over his shoulder to see the mother of the girl standing before him. He had a sickening grin on his face. I am just taking my future bride with me, he told her with an evil look in his eyes as a kunai appeared in his hands, and he threw it at her. Before she could react in time, the kunai struck her in the left shoulder with such force her body slammed into the wall, and she went into labor with screams of pain and horror as the man vanished into the night. Headmaster Tower. Maleficent felt the magical charm she had placed on Yellow Flash be broken from being attacked. But luck was on her side. She had just finished speaking with the headmaster about the scroll from the girl's mother's home village that was sadly lost so long ago. With said scrolls tucked away, she left the headmaster's tower to just wander around the quiet village. Just a villager making his way home from the bar, or a shinobi returning or leaving from missions. It was a lovely night in her mind as a full moon above lit her path towards the clan district. She would pay Yellow Flash a visit before returning home and reset her magical charm. For it could have been only false labor pains that could have set it off. But in the corner of her eye, she caught sight of something that she saw in her little crystal ball. The sight of a mysterious shinobi not of this village running in the shadows with a burlap sack over his shoulder, and the cries of a little girl coming from it. "Well, well, what do we have here?" questioned Maleficent as she used her mighty wings to push off the ground and fly over the man. As he saw darkness overtake him, he stopped and slowly looked up. The last thing he saw was flaming emerald green eyes before his body busted into green flames, and the sack he was carrying fell to the ground and rolled away from him. "Hyuga compound!" Yellow Flash cried and pushed as she gave birth to her son, while Hayashi held her hand in a rare gesture of comfort. "You are doing fine, my dear," he reassures her. "You bastard! Why are you not out there looking for our eldest daughter?" Yellow Flash cries out with one final push. Cries filled the room with the midwife and nurses take the child away to have him clean. Hayashi looked away from his wife. "She is gone," he tells his wife. She begins sobbing as she is losing too much blood and is slowly dying from the poison from the kunai that had stabbed her. "You bastard, I will never forgive you. Maleficent was right, you will always put those bastards first before your own children. I pray our son doesn't turn out like you and those bastards," she tells him with her final breath. Seconds after, a circle of black and green flames encircle the forms. The form begins to take shape, one of a woman with long black hair and flaming green eyes, ivory skin and black wings with horns sticking out of it. "I see she has passed. As a final gift to her will she'll be enacted now," declared Maleficent as she held a sleeping Hina in her arms and vanishes to reappear in the headmaster's office once more. Headmaster office. Swirls of green and black flames appeared before the old headmaster as he was finalizing his paperwork for the evening. Looking up, he let out a sigh. Maleficent returning to his office like this after leaving it not even an hour ago could mean nothing good at all. "We have to talk about something you witnessed for myself and Yellow Flash not too long ago," said Maleficent as she walked over to the leather chair before his desk, still cradling the sleeping Hina. 2 days later, Hisashi had appeared in the headmaster's office to report his eldest daughter missing as well as the passing of his wife and birth of his son Hito. "Headmaster Sama, I have come to report to you that Yellow Flash has passed away on the eve of December 26th, and that my eldest daughter has gone missing," said Hisashi as he looked up to his village leader. Third headmaster, for his part, just let out a sigh, for he already knew of Yellow Flash's passing with his crystal ball after Maleficent had appeared in his office with a sleeping Hina, after informing him of killing the shinobi from Kumo, who had claimed little Hina to be his future bride. "I already know of Yellow Flash-chan's passing, Hayashi-san, as well as Hina-chan going missing. She had been kidnapped the night your wife had gone into labor," said third headmaster as he held up his hand, stopping Hisashi from yelling. "And before your wife died, she had come to me and asked me to take care of Hina and made a will, one you knew nothing of, nor those your clan elders," came a voice from the shadows of the office. Both men turned to look into the darkest shadows of the office that had not been there before, and out stepped Maleficent. She had a wicked smile on her face as she threw Yellow Flash Hyuga's final will and testament on the headmaster's desk before the woman's former husband. "I am now Hina's legal guardian. Those are the wishes of your late wife, since your elder council have been working in the shadows behind your back to get rid of her, and you allowed yourself to be a puppet to their whim for far too long," said Maleficent as Hisashi glares at her with his pale eyes. "You will return my daughter now," growled out Hisashi, not believing what she just said. "No," was all Maleficent said as she smirks at him. "What do you mean, no?" Hisashi demanded as he was beginning to stand up. "She means no, for Yellow Flash took this out of all our hands and had our Fire Lord approve this, since he was her brother after all," said third headmaster as he took out his old pipe to light it up. "As such, you nor your foolish clan have the power to demand that damn seal on the girl, and if you try," said Maleficent as her emerald green eyes began glowing and turning into a sickly yellowish green color with slits, "I will show you a creature that make what the QB did 8 years ago look like child's play," she told him. Hisashi made a fist as he glared at the woman that stood before him. "This will not be the end of this," he growls out as he storms out of the office to inform his father and the other elders of this new turn of events. Maleficent turns to the headmaster. "If anyone from his clan comes after Hina, I will take lethal force, I hope you understand," she warned him and vanished into a spiral of flame. Hyuga compound. Hisashi returns back to the clan compound, storming in past the 2 branch members standing guard at the entrance. "Lord Hisashi," both of them say as they quickly bow to him. He waves them off and walks straight towards the clan council chambers to have his meeting following up with the one he just had with the headmaster about his missing daughter. Pushing the doors open, all the elders of the main clan glance over at him, as the only elder for the branch family bows his head to the man standing at the open doorway. "What did the headmaster say about your daughter?" demanded Hisashi's father and former clan head. Taking in a deep breath and walking across the room to his seat, he sits down slowly before them and leveling them all with a cold leveled glare. "It appears my daughter was kidnapped. but was saved the very night she was taken, he tells them. Who saved the girl, and why isn't she here with you? Demanded his father. Damn it, this does me no good. Oh well. I can always sell her once more later, he thinks to himself while gritting his teeth slightly. The devil woman that Yellow Flash was friends with, Maleficent, as well Yellow Flash herself, had the bad idea that if anything would ever happen to herself, then Hina would be placed into that devil woman's care out of the clan's reach, and has the backing of both the headmaster and the Fire Lord, leaving us powerless. Hisashi informs them all. What do you mean leaving us powerless over the girl? We have every right to brand her as a branch member if she will not be in the protection of our clan walls, growls Hisashi's mother. We are not allowed to brand her, and even if we manage to, that devil woman knows how to break our clan's seal, said Hayashi while looking away from them. The room fell quiet as the only branch member elder had his wheels turning. With this new information, they could be free of the hell they had been forced into. This also left all the main clan elders that were left all speechless at that little statement, and slowly looked at the lone member of the branch family as the poor man held his hands up. I promise you, we are all loyal to our family and clan, he tells them with all honesty, as he would not tip his hand this early on. They nod their heads in an agreement. Good, or you wouldn't like what would happen, said Hisashi's mother as she smirks at the poor man. She is my own mother and is heartless and cold to even myself, thought Hisashi. This is enough. One way or the other, we will find a way to seal Hina and take her back, growled out Hayashi as he looks at the others. Forest of Death. Naruto and Hina sit in their shared bedroom, reading the Uzumaki and Hyuga scrolls that Maleficent had given them and having Diaval watching over them. Naruto-chan, said Hina just above a whisper. Naruto looks over at Hina. Yeah, Hina-chan? Questioned the little blonde. Do you really think Maleficent cousin will keep me safe? Questioned Hina as she looks over at her adopted sister with worry in her eyes. Naruto grins. Don't worry, mommy will take care of us, and if your piggy daddy comes for you, she will turn him into what he truly is, she tells her with a large grin on her face, knowing that was one of Maleficent's favorite tricks. Hina slowly nods her head to this. Do not worry, my little bunny. Mistress will keep you safe from your old worthless, power-hunger clan, said Diaval with a smirk on his face as he is willing to do everything and anything to help his darling tiny mistresses before him. Maleficent stands in the doorway with her arms crossed over her chest as she listens in on what the little girls say and what her pet told them to keep them at ease. Do not worry, my darlings, for I will do all in my power and will to keep you safe, said Maleficent as she walks into their bedroom to see how far they have gotten in their studies. It was early February, and while Naruto and Hina are the Shinobi Academy, Maleficent had been summoned to the headmaster's tower on a grave matter. What is going on here? Questioned Maleficent as she appears in the center of the office, not bothering to enter the building through normal means. A woman with wild raven curls and crimson eyes look over at the horned and winged woman with wide shocked eyes. Maleficent-sama, I am glad you came so quickly, said the headmaster as he stood up from his chair and walked over to her to take her hands. Please have a seat. We have something to discuss with you, he tells her as his eyes travel to the little girl sleeping on the couch behind them. Her face is covered in soot and ash and smelt like smoke. I take it is about the little girl over there? Questioned Maleficent. They both nod their heads to this little question. We should just seal off her abilities. She is too dangerous if we leave her unchecked, said the raven hair woman while looking at the little girl with worry. Maleficent arches a brow at this, having an odd feeling coming from this woman. A feeling of jealousy and something else, but she could not put her finger on it. Why punish a child for a power that is out of her control? She thought to herself as she just studied the woman and looked at the old monkey. Maleficent-sama, the child before you, Yakumo Kurama, is the heir of the Kurama clan, a clan of powerful Gen spirit art users, and she has the greatest potential for the art of them all. But as a result of her great power, she has an ID demon inside her soul, and this afternoon she blacked out and the ID killed her parents in a Gen spirit art that she placed on them. It set the house on fire and all within the home died, but felt nothing for they had been placed in a strange slumber, explained the third headmaster, a little nervous. I see. And was the child being trained to control such abilities? Or to keep this demon at bay? Questioned Maleficent, wanting to know the details as something did not seem to be adding up. Well, yes, I'm her teacher, said the raven hair woman. Maleficent turned to look at the headmaster while rolling her eyes. He could tell there was more to what the other woman was saying, so he was going to allow Maleficent to handle everything. Very well, I shall seal off the ID and in time I, along with the girl, will take care of the demon that is within her. But that will only happen if she is placed in my care, said Maleficent while stand up and walking over to the little girl with brown hair pulled up in a messy ponytail and burnt pink kimono. You can't do that, she is a clan heiress. Even if her clan is a small and minor clan, said the raven hair woman, trying to sound angered by this turn of events. She had hoped the girl to be placed in ANBU care, out of sight and pulled from ever being a shinobi, for the girl's skills alone in Gen spirit art have already placed the Gen spirit art mistress to shame. Maleficent looks over her shoulder at the woman. You have no say in this matter whatsoever. You failed miserably at teaching the girl, and I would advise that you never take up being a teacher or what one would call AA rank ninja sensei again, for you are still too young and foolish, allowing your pride in a skill that is useless to cloud your judgment, she told the other woman with a smirk on her face before looking at the little girl laying before her once more. As you wish, Maleficent-sama. It will be for the best, as at this time many of her clan wish for her death. Not even her statues as clan heiress will aid to protect her, said the third headmaster with a sigh. But headmaster-sama, how can you allow this stranger to take the girl? Questioned the woman, now freaking out from not being allowed to carry her plan out. Kurenai, I am sorry, but Maleficent-sama is an enormously powerful woman and knows what she is doing. She will protect and guide young Yakumo-chan down the right path into a bright future. She has done so well so far with Naruto and Hina, said the third headmaster to the now named Kurenai. Maleficent, for her part, made a mental note of the woman's first name, and when it came for her daughters to be placed on teams, she will be there to make sure this woman would not have any of them. She is too prideful and foolish to truly guide and shape the future shinobi of this village. At hearing that this woman was the one that had taken Hina from her, Kurenai bit her thumb. It had been planned out when the girl was returned to her father from the kidnapping that she would be taking Hina and training her. That was the main reason she had to get Yakumo in ANBU care. She had been slacking off on the girl's training and allowing the demon within the girl to run wild and take the child over while training and allowing her to have many of her blackouts. But now, with this horn bitch, Kurenai's little secret might get out. As you wish, Headmaster-sama, said Kurenai as she bows and leaves the office. Maleficent looks over at the headmaster. I do. To make sure the little girl will be fine. Not want her anywhere near my girls. I have a feeling after today she will try to become one of their rank ninja senseis once they leave the academy, she tells him. He lets out a tired sigh. As you wish. But would it be any trouble to seal the girl's ID demon up? He questioned as he was more worried for Yakumo than anything else at the moment, and wanted. Maleficent places her hand on the girl's forehead, and it begins to glow a sickly lime green, with black flames dancing around the girl as screams and growls escape her lips. It was the demon trying to break free and get away from the monster that had the power and control to overpower it but failed to get out and became silent. It is done. But in time I will have Yakumo face her demon and Nerda will be there as well to help, for she will be facing her own demon in due time, said Maleficent as she bends down and picks the girl up into her arms. Very well, said the third. He was only glad the little girl will have a safe home from now on. Maleficent, still with Yakumo in her arms, walks over to the Shinobi Academy to pick up her daughters. As she walked through the village, the villagers either bowed low or run away out of fear and or respect, as she had saved their village from the threats from the third rakeage. Not too far ahead of Maleficent was the Uchiha clan head, Sasuke Father Uchiha. A scowl deeply married his face as he watched villagers become visibly unsettled by something that was behind him. Not making it noticeable, he glances over his shoulder to see the devil woman that took the Kyuubi brat into her care. A tender subject for his wife, who demanded and fought long and hard against himself and the clan elders to adopt the child. But in the end, she was not allowed to have her wishes, and her being the girl's godmother meant nothing to the village elders, as the headmaster wished for the little girl to have a stable and happy family and home. But now the girl has that. Maleficent catches him glancing at her, and with a wicked smirk on her lips winks at the man. This angers Sasuke father, but he did not say a word. He did not need any unwanted drama at the moment. They both arrive at the Shinobi Academy just as the bell rings, and Nuda jumps out of the classroom window as Hina comes running out of the front door, making Maleficent let out a tired sigh. This girl. She is too much of a tomboy at times, she thinks to herself as her two daughters come running up to her. Hey mama, said Nerdo as the girl had taken up calling Maleficent her mama since pretty much day one. Hello mother, Maleficent, said Hina with a bow. Sasuke father watches this as his own son comes walking up to him. Father, said Sasuke as he bows to the older man. Sasuke, come along, we have things to do, said Sasuke father as his youngest son follows behind him like the little duckling that his hairstyle makes him look like. Maleficent can feel the negative energy just flowing off of the man. She'll have to keep an eye on him and the boy. Hey mama, who's the new girl? Questions Nerdo as she is now on Maleficent's shoulder looking down at the sleeping girl. Maleficent smiles. This is your new sister Yakumo, she tells the two girls. Cool. yells Naruto as she jumps off the winged woman's shoulder. Several days later. Deep within the Uchiha clan compound, within the hidden room of the family shrine, a group roughly made up of about 30 to 40 clansmen were gathered around their clan head. Sasuke, Father-sama, are you sure about this plan? Questioned a man with gray hair. His cold eyes looks over at the man that sat near the back. Yes. If we want respect and power once more, we must take this village over, he growls out. Unknown to the clan meeting in secret, there was an extra pair of ears and eyes within the group. Well hidden within the shrine was an old crow sitting up in the rafters, just listening to the fools. Mistress will have to know about this quick, for if their plan is to succeed, they would surely need his little kit's demon prisoner, and I would never allow that whatsoever. I'll cut off their dirty hands myself before I let any of them touch the little girl. His feathers ruffed up even more as he tried to hide his anger. So when will this plan take place? Asked the young boy. Sasuke's father looked over at the boy. It will take place in 3 months, time enough to gather the supplies we will need to take the headmaster and elders down, mostly the elders since they have been on a major power trip and the old man has forfeited most of his power to those freaking 3, he said with anger being seen in his eyes. The crow up in the rafters ruffed his feathers at hearing what was making this entire clan to turn on the headmaster and village. But his mistress had stressed once that if the headmaster did not control those 3 old goats, that it would not end well. Sasuke's father looked around, hearing the crow ruff his feathers. His eyes spinning to life as he used a minor gen spirit art to stop the bird just sitting there from moving. He then narrowed his eyes. Itachi, you need to keep your crows out of the family shrine, he said to the boy that had asked him a question earlier. The boy looks up at the crow a little puzzled, until the boy that sat next to him spoke up. Actually, it is one of my crows, he said with a sheepish grin on his face. He knew this crow belonged to Maleficent as he had been meeting with the Fae of the Forest of Death for a while now, to get to know about her past world, her magic and other cool things. The crow makes a noise free of the clan head spirit art, then flies down to the other boy and sits on his shoulder. This isn't a birdcage, Shursui, next time keep the blasted birds out, growled out Sasuke's father. Yes, sir, said Shursui while bowing his head to his uncle and current clan head. If only his mother was born a male, she would have been at the head of the clan as she was the eldest of the 3 children of the former clan head. We are done here, said Sasuke's father as he turned to leave, then the others stood up and left. Itachi looked over at his eldest cousin and to the crow that sat on the boy's shoulder. Is he one of your summons? Questioned Itachi in a calm and quiet voice. Shaking his head no, he pulled his cousin out of the shrine and away from the clan estate as they walked down the dirt road leading to the Forest of Death. No. He belongs to the fairy that lives in the Forest of Death, he told his cousin with a large grin on his face. She is wise beyond all of those in our clan and village, he tells him. So she's the one you have been meeting with for the past several months? Asked Itachi as he had wondered where his wayward cousin would run off to at times. Yeah. She allows me to visit if I promise to train the girls, and now, she has a new daughter that is very skilled in Gen Spirit Art. She has had me working with her more since Naruto will never be able to do not even the low-level Gen Spirit Arts. But Yakumo has done well with it. 1,000 feathers. Gen Spirit Art I like to use to blind people with, and hers is a hell of a lot powerful than my own, said Shursui with a grin. She will be a force to be reckoned with in the art once she is older, he said as an afterthought. That she will be, said Maleficent as she stepped out of the shadows. All of my girls will be forces of nature someday, she tells the 2 boys before her. Itachi froze when the horned fae appeared before them. He would not tell anyone, but the woman had scared him just appearing like that. Good evening, Maleficent-sama, said Shursui as he bowed to the woman before him. Good evening, Shursui. Who's your little friend? Asked Maleficent as her glowing green eyes shifted from Shursui to Itachi. Shursui grinned at the woman. He is my little cousin, and future clan leader if things ever settle, he tells her with sadness lacing his voice. Maleficent, for her part, just nods her head in agreement to what the teenager is telling her. The crow that sat on Shursui's shoulder then jumps off and shifts into a man before the 2 boys' eyes. Mistress, said Diaval as he bows to his mistress. By the look on your face, things are not going well and soon they will be here, trying to take my child from me? Questioned Maleficent as the man just nods his head. I see, she said, tapping a finger on her chin looking at the 2 teen boys before her. Both boys just froze. This woman knew what was happening in the shadows of this village. Ho, how do you know so much about what's going on in our clan and village? Questioned Itachi. Maleficent looks over at the boy with a smirk on her face. Not much happens in this village that I don't know of, she tells him. Itachi just nods his head, not knowing what to say. Well, I guess that is a good thing, said Shursui with a cheesy grin on his face. But we must be heading home as Sasuke Father-sama might wonder where we are at, he said as he looks at Itachi. Itachi nods his head and both boys bow to her and leave to head back to the Uchiha district. Maleficent looks at Diaval. I have a feeling this will be the last time we will be seeing both those boys, she tells him. Diaval nods his head to his mistress. 3 weeks later. It was the night the Uchiha clan was going to make their move. Sasuke was out playing at his brother's and cousin's training spot in the woods, throwing the wooden kunai that Itachi had given him that morning. Sasuke grins as his wooden kunai finally hits the target he has been trying to hit since he had arrived after finishing his work at the academy for the day. Wiping the sweat off of his forehead, Sasuke let out a tired sigh. Finally I did it, I can't wait to show Itachi, he tells himself as he looks up to the sky, only to pale as the sky around him was black with only the full moon to light his path out of the woods. Oh no, I'm in so much trouble, cried Sasuke as he gathered up his backpack and wooden kunai around the training ground and runs back home. Headmaster Tower. You old fool! I can't believe you allowed those old goats to get away with this, hissed out Maleficent as she storms out of the headmaster's office without letting him say a word. Outside the tower, Sasuke is running by without looking. The end result was running into the back of someone and falls to the ground. He then raised his small right hand to his nose, rubbing it. I'm sorry, came Sasuke's voice to the person he hit. Maleficent turns around and looks at the boy, a small sad frown on her face as she recognized who it was. It is fine, child, let's get you home, she tells the boy while helping him back on his feet and began to walk with him. She knew if he went home alone, nothing good would happen. But if she were there maybe, just maybe, she could change his fate in life. Itachi moves quickly through the shadows as he killed all the members of his father's little uprising, but then another man in a black cloak with red clouds on it, wearing an orange spiraling mask appears and killed all others in the clan compound. Itachi stops a few feet from his, holding his kunai in front of himself. What are you doing? He asked in a cold and calm voice. I am here to kill the roots of this dying clan, as well as to offer you a place in my organization, said the masked man. Itachi narrowed his eyes at this man as they turned red with black comas and spun to life. At the same time, the only eye Itachi could see did the same thing, revealing the man to be an Uchiha as well, a much more powerful one than himself. Fine. But you will leave my little brother alone, he will be the only one walking out of here alive, growled out Itachi. Fine boy. Now off, go finish your mission, said the masked man before vanishing into nothing. Itachi moved off quickly to his parents' home where he walked in and saw his father slitting his mother's throat. Blood and tears began rolling down his cheeks as black flames shot out of his eyes, catching his father in flames. Maleficent holds young Sasuke's hand as they walk down the dirt road leading to the Uchiha compound. I hope my parents are not upset with me for getting home so late, said Sasuke while looking up at the horned woman. Don't worry, child. I will speak with them, said Maleficent with a smile on her face. If only this child knew that his life will never be the same after tonight, she thought to herself. Once arriving at the main gates, they noticed the guards were missing and all the lights were off. It's too quiet. It is still early and not everyone would be asleep now, he tells her. I don't know what to say, child. Let us go in and find out, said Maleficent. Sasuke nods his head and they slowly walk through the compound, looking around all the house with the lights off. But then suddenly he saw something off. There was blood on the ground. This made the young boy freeze and look up at the woman with fear in his eyes. Sasuke tried breaking free of Maleficent's hand to run away and find his parents, for something did not feel right to him. But she did not let go, not wanting for him to get hurt. But then they smelled burning wood coming from the main house direction and saw that it was now ablaze to the horror of the little boy. Then Itachi appeared before the two, so he could finish his work by setting his brother on the path that will avenge their clan. But before he could use his Gen Spirit art on Sasuke, Maleficent covers Sasuke with her wings and glares at the boy. You will not lead him down the path of hate, she growls at him as her green eyes began glowing a brighter green. Itachi took a step back, fear beginning to take him over. How powerful is this woman? Is this the reason why Shursui respects her so much? He questioned himself. Flames licked at Maleficent's lips as she growls at the boy before her. He will become my son now. I will not allow your words or your silly little red eyes to brainwash him, she growls over at him. Itachi's right hand began to tremble from his fear. But I need him to kill me when he gets older, to avenge our clan, he said just above a whisper. Just loud enough for Maleficent to hear but not Sasuke. Her eyes narrow slightly. I know you have an illness that will kill you once he is a teenager. But why put that hell on him? If you wish to die so much and for your clan to be avenged, have someone else do it, she hissed at him. Yells could be heard not too far away, causing Itachi to look over to his parents' house and saw that the flames had swallowed it whole. The smoke bellowed into the heavens, showing that there was trouble in the Uchiha district. "Just protect him from Danzo," whispered Itachi as he took a step back and vanished into a murder of crows. Maleficent's wings moved back and pulled Sasuke into her arms, lifting him up. "You will be coming home with me, little one," she told him. "What about my parents?" Sasuke cried out. "The fire caught them, and they passed away," she lied to him. Tears streamed down his cheeks. "What about my brother?" he asked. "I don't know. He said he was running for help and for you to stay with me," said Maleficent as they vanished in a swirl of smoke and appeared in the headmaster's office, narrowing her eyes at the old man. "Little Sasuke is now my son. I have been requested to protect him," said Maleficent in her cold, regal tone. The headmaster dumbly nods his head. "I will have the files ready for you in the morning," he tells her. She nods her head and leaves with Sasuke still in her arms. Naruto and Hina stood in their home, staring at the raven-hair boy. They looked up to their mother and back to said boy. "Mama Maleficent, why is the team here?" questioned Naruto as she narrowed her crystal blue eyes at the cold-colored eyes looking back at her. Maleficent smirked at this. "He is joining our little family as your brother," she told Naruto and Hina as both girls' eyes widened. "Boo! But what happened to his parents?" questioned a soft-spoken Hina as her shuddering had gotten better, but she still had moments when her nervousness got the better of her, and she would stumble across her words. Sasuke looked away as he did not know how to answer them. He himself was still unsure of what happened tonight. All he knew was that his clan home was on fire, and his brother was injured and running away. There was tragedy tonight. A fire broke out in the main house of Sasuke's parents after they had gotten into a fight. Itachi tried stopping it and was hurt. But he feared all the blame would be placed on him as his father had lost his mind with his cursed eyes seeking more power that was not worth it. In that power-lust drive of his, he killed every one of his clan and set up his oldest son to take the fall for all of it," said Maleficent. She had one of her pets write everything she had said down and make sure this would be the cover story. She was going to take all the blame off the elder Uchiha brother and place it right where it should have gone. Also, she was going to find a way to take down that mummy of a man that believed to hold more power than the old headmaster. Fools. The lot of them, was her final thought as all the children looked at her. A raven tapped on the headmaster's office window with a scroll in its mouth. Third headmaster slowly stood up and walked over to his window, allowing the bird into his office. Diaval shifted from his raven form to his human form. "My mistress has come up with the cover story. So not all the blame will fall upon Itachi as she doesn't want little Sasuke to follow the path of hatred," he tells the village leader. "I see. It appears Maleficent-sama has come up with plans on the fly," said third headmaster as he looked over the scroll and nodded his head. "Tell your mistress that I will accept this story as it is a better cover story than the one the other elders wish to use and place all blame on the poor boy, who is only loyal to his village and younger brother," he said with a tired sigh. "She doesn't want the boy to grow up with hate in his heart. She has seen what hate can do to a young heart like the boy's. With this he will grow up happily with his 3 new sisters and a better purpose. To prove the innocence of his older brother," said Diaval smiling. "Family will do well for the boy. It will take time and it will heal his heart, but I would like a Yamanaka to mind walk him to see if there is anything there for us to worry about," said third headmaster as he was writing up this new order out. "As you wish, headmaster-sama. I will tell my mistress," said Diaval as he bowed before turning back into a raven and flies out of the office. It had been a month since the Uchiha clan have been all killed, and for Sasuke life has become both easier and harder at the same times, especially when girls began following after him, seeing him as a tragic prince. "Man team, you have an annoying and useless fan club there," said Naruto with a large grin on her face. Sasuke just paled at what his new sister just told him. "No. I am not dealing with them. You can have them dope," he told the girl. Naruto turned green. "Nope, not happening. Ask one of the other boys to take them off your hands," she told him. His 2 other sisters just giggled at the two having their odd little fight. "Come on, you two. We have to hurry home before Maleficent Mama sends Diaval to drag us home," said Yakumo with a small smile on her face. Hina nodded her head in agreement. "And quick, we have our magical lessons," she said with a far-off smile. They all nodded their heads in agreement as they walked down the dirt road leading off to the forest that scared all the others from trying to enter their home.